Okay, so how is your day going so far, Keith?
Not too bad. I'm in Pittsburgh. I'm on day four, I think. I drove cross country, so I had stops in Albuquerque, Tulsa, St. Louis, and then now Pittsburgh to take a new job teaching screenwriting at Point Park University. So I'm excited. I really am excited, but I don't know anyone in Pittsburgh, which actually worked out well because I can just kind of hole up in my apartment and work on stuff for the film release.
Nice. And the film releases tomorrow, right? For Marathon?
Correct. Yeah. So tomorrow is Tuesday, July 6th, and it'll be available on a bunch of VOD platforms like Apple TV, Amazon Prime Video, Vudu, Google Play, and I think YouTube. But yeah, a bunch of the VODs.
Okay, perfect. So as far as Marathon goes, I spoke with Jimmy Slonina, I spoke with Kimia, and I spoke with Natalie. So I got a bananas perspective. I got a couple different interesting perspectives of the film, but I believe you're the director or one of the directors, correct?
Right. I co-writer, co-director. So I have a partner, Anthony Guidabaldi, and we wrote, produced, direct, edited. We did it all, together. But I feel it's unfortunate that I'm last. Like I know I have. I mean, all the performers are much funnier and they're professional entertainers. I can't compete with them. But happy to
Well,
do the interview.
oh no, it's exciting. I mean, we got to learn all their little separate bits, but you were involved with kind of everyone, so that's a little bit more all encompassing. So I feel like learning the bits from them makes it easier for me to ask you certain
Yeah.
things.
Okay. Great.
So you both directed and wrote on this with your buddy or your partner. When did you guys start initially conceptualizing and putting this project together as far as the writing goes?
Sure. We had done well in a number of screenwriting competitions and contests, and we had meetings, but we got the feeling no one was going to, make a 80, $100 million comedy. The one we had that we had done well with was a jet, like an underdog jet ski story. So there's water, there's jet skis flying off of ramps. No one's going to make it. And so we decided that rather than write scripts that could possibly sit on a shelf, we prefer to work on something that we knew we could actually film. So we wrote a project with the budget in mind, and the mockumentary style lent itself, perfectly to a low budget production. We wrote it in 2017. We shot it in 2018. I had a full-time job in LA, and then Anthony had a full-time job in Las Vegas. So I spent the next 2 years driving back and forth because it's a lot easier. I mean, he can't just take up the editing station and move it to Vegas, or I'm sorry, to LA. So yeah, I would get off work on Friday, drive to Vegas. We would edit on the weekends. I'd drive back. I mean, it was a brutal 2 years. The editing was always fun. It was just the commuting to get it done. We finished up the edit probably like March 2020. So right when COVID hit, we had a locked cut. We knew we had a little bit more time because of the pandemic. So that's when we decided to, all right, everything we want to add, let's try to add it. So we added the claymation sequence, some of those art pieces like the fake bench poster, the fictional DVD cover of the sex tape, all that came basically because of the pandemic. And we had a little bit more time once the dominoes started falling of, I think South by canceled first and then all the film fest canceled. And so there was a strange period where we were like, all right, well, no one knows what's going on. Let's just see, like, and how can we increase the production value of this film, even if it's just a little bit? Let's just have let's make this as best as we possibly can.
So when you guys filmed, I think I think Jimmy said that you guys filmed near, was it near Vegas? Jimmy's from Vegas. I couldn't remember if he said you guys
Yeah,
filmed
a
in
lot of the
Arizona.
performers are from Vegas, and that's where Anthony and I we met in grad school at an MFA program. But it was all filmed in Vegas or surrounding Vegas. We tried to hide the fact actually that because Vegas itself can dominate a story. I think we didn't want anyone to be distracted by casinos or the skyline. Like we didn't want, like, in our minds, it took place in a fictional town somewhere between LA and Vegas that we would just never, it was kind of any place, anywhere, desert city. We purposely never hung a light on, the actual town, but it was all filmed in or around Las Vegas. We faked the marathon scene in Red Rock National Park. So we shot the actual, we had to match it. So the marathon day, there's a small park called I'm going to butcher, Blue Diamond Park. And it's weird in terms of the zoning. It's technically part of Henderson because all of the rest of Red Rock is all National Park Service, and we didn't have permits, so we weren't really supposed to be shooting there. So we shot in this little town of maybe 100, maybe 50 houses at Blue Diamond Park, and we just pointed the camera one way. You never see the neighborhood behind us. And then we went to the actual Red Rock Canyon, the backside of it where no one goes, and we ran through the trail. So you're really just matching the arch setup. That was marathon day. And then we took each performer separately to the trails, and then no one has said anything about the Anthony was always concerned that the course wouldn't make sense. Like no one, we're like, no, if it's run by Jimmy or Ed Clapp, then of course the course isn't going to make sense. It is purposely going to be a nonsensical, design.
Well, and Jimmy had mentioned, I think he said that you guys did like the start of the marathon in one area, and then a few miles down, you guys had done maybe where the marathon finishes or where the race finishes. So you guys kind of had two locations there, but just like a few miles away to make it look a little bit different.
We had the idea all right, we have limited extras, which again, we wrote this with, all right, we're going to you have to write the low production value into the script. So it is a third-rate marathon in the desert, which I think helped us because, there's not many people in attendance, which we knew that was going to be a problem. Like, all right, how are you going to convince 50 or 60 extras to come out to the desert? So what we did, we had some of the runners who were at the start with our characters. They all, we get the scene of them all taking off, but then we just had them turn around and bring a different pair of clothes. And they're also the people who are waiting for the runners to finish. And then when everyone scatters. So it's really just using the same group of people or group of extras twice with different wardrobes.
That's really funny. So when because you mentioned the claymation, did you bring somebody in like an expert in claymation, or were you guys able to do that yourselves?
We did not do that ourselves. The animated sequence was done by a friend, Natalie Sullivan, and we had worked on her with her. We had written a pilot. It's an animated film noir parody pilot called C.J. Roper, Second Grade Dick. And the premise is you have a 7-year-old Humphrey Bogart. He smokes, he drinks, and he solves cases, but it's animated. And we play with the two worlds, the film noir black and white world, and then the colorful second grade, bright and sunny world. So like if he's smoking a cigarette, it's really a lollipop, or the menacing bloody handprint on the wall is really a kid finger painting. The bear rug is a teddy bear. He works out of a princess castle. So Natalia had been our head animator for that, and we reached out to her for poster help. She did a little touch up on the poster. She did the hand-drawn animated sequence about Marathon Mouse when he gets a heat stroke in the desert. And then the claymation sequence, she's fantastic. I mean, when I left Vegas, I was actually I was renting a room from her. I was living with her. She's a dear friend. But she, claymation, that was, I think his name is Joe Blandimer, and we found him actually off of Fiverr, but he's out of the UK, I believe, but very, very talented.
So the animation you were telling me about that you had shot the pilot for, what was that called, and when were you guys doing that with the?
Anthony and I started doing sketches together, writing them. And then it slowly went from sketches, shorts, pilots, and then eventually features. But this was back in 2012, 2013, my last year of the MFA program. And then Anthony was a year or two behind me. But yeah, we made the mistake of actually trying to produce that ourselves. And then you realize when you watch a Pixar short or any sort of animated short, and you get to the end, there's a reason there's 2,000 names. We should have just done a sizzle reel or a scene. I mean, we tried to actually animate, and Natalia and I looked at the footage or it looks great. It's just, it took us too long and it's too time consuming, and we didn't have the resources as graduate students, but I'd love to pick up that. I still think it's a great premise it's an easy pitch. Everyone loves it. We would love to dig back into that at some point.
And the title of it again?
Sorry, it's called C.J. Roper, Second Grade Dick.
That's hilarious.
And it's 30
I love
minutes.
the blend. I love the blend that you have going with the noir. I think that's really interesting.
That everyone told us, like
half-hour episodes, you said?
Yeah, half-hour episodes. The problem is because we had a friend, like a friend of a friend, gave it to a Family Guy writer, and he's like, this is great. This is one of the best things I've read this year, but who's you're parodying something that no one watches anymore. No one knows what you're doing unless they have a film noir background. So it's too adultish for kids and too kiddish for adults. Where in our minds, we were trying to walk the Shrek kind of line where the kids can watch it, but really the humor is directed at the adults. But I think this what also happened is this is when animated, like what was it, the FX, I forget the FX channel, or the Adult Swim
yeah,
it went really dark so really quick, and then all of a sudden what we thought was a kid smoking a cigarette was dark. Not at all. I mean, they went completely. So we might pick it up and do a not a page one rewrite, but just make it completely an adult tone.
Yeah, I think adult animation right now, there's a huge market for it. And it's funny you mentioned Adult Swim, because we just had Rick and Morty on one of the actors from Rick and Morty on the show last week. We do a lot with Adult Swim, actually.
Oh, that's great. I mean, I'm sure they killed it during, you don't want to say, I mean, that's probably a poor choice of words, but animation thrived during the pandemic. Yes. Because all the actors are at home and they can just do the voice. No one has to be in the same place.
100%. So, but to run back over to marathon for a moment, I think Jimmy said that he did most of the scenes where he was behind the desk, like in one day. Did you focus day shoots behind, like, let me reword that. Did you focus shoot days like with just one actor, one actress, and do a bunch of those scenes with them, and then just kind of go one person at a time? Or did you have everybody together and just pull them aside for their different things?
It was purposeful, even in the writing process, to make it as easy as possible and to give us as much flexibility during production. So no, the idea was we wanted a lot of point and shoot in flexible schedules with each actor. So yeah, we tried to just be one-on-one and build these storylines separately with the actor. The only tough stretch was Andrew Hansen, who played Ryan O'Brien. He was living in LA, and we flew him. So Kimia and everyone, for the most part, we wanted to cast a wide net and get as many get every single funny person in Las Vegas in the film, and then fill in the gaps with LA performers who I'd seen at UCB, Groundlings, Second City, and so for the most part, Vegas performers, and then Kimia and Andrew were the two, and Kimia's parents had just moved to. Kimia plays Emmylou Ponch.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. So her parents had just moved to Vegas, so she was a dream. She was a sport because she didn't even, she refused to let us pay for her travel, or she didn't want to be put up in a hotel. She just stayed at her parents' house. I mean, it really helped us out. And then Andrew, we knew we needed to film all of Andrew's things, but then he also had to be present for Marathon Day, which was tricky, very tricky. Because
Kimia wasn't there for that. All Kimia's stuff was kind of done at home.
Right. So that gave us a lot of flexibility. And then Roberto Rad, who plays Ben Duffy, he had a schedule conflict. So everyone was okay for Marathon Day except Roberto Rad. So I remember we rewrote that ending. So you never see Roberto actually around the finish line. And then with Andrew was tough because we had to do all of his scenes. So 4 days of Andrew, and then the 5th day was Marathon Day. And you lose like in terms of, so it's Anthony and me. Sometimes we're at Walmart at midnight getting props or last minute, I don't think we had a PA. I mean, we had a friend who was helping us out with lunch deliveries and taking some still photography, but for the most part, no PAs, which means Anthony and I were doing a lot of it ourselves in the middle of the night, and then having to, get 5 hours of sleep and wake up and go shoot. And the more days you stacked, the harder it got. So what we tried to do is shoot 15 days over the course of May, but build up momentum, like a day break. I take a break, then shoot 2 days in a row, take a couple of days off to let us catch up, and then shoot 3 days in a row and so we never wanted to shoot 15 days straight. We thought that was a terrible idea. We wanted to space it out and give us as much breathing room and time to grow. And also, just in case we fell into something with a story and we wanted to make a few adjustments on the fly, we had time to think and process and look at it from, an outside perspective.
Were there certain things that you guys ended up changing that, I know you said that you had changed certain things because of the availability of actors, but did you change anything story-wise because of the plot, like maybe like the bananas or Kimia's like specific, I don't want to say ending, but the way that her things unfold at home? Were any of those things added later on because you thought it would like maybe fill out the characters stuff, or was all of that written in the script to begin with?
Almost all of it was written in the script. The biggest change was the Roberto Rad, Ben Duffy ending, just to accommodate his schedule. And I think it even worked better. And I think it strengthens Jenna's ending, where she just abandons him on the trail and then finishes herself. And then Roberto or Ben just ends up in the desert wandering off. I will say that there were moments, I would say it's more moments, like in just being open to any idea. We had a skeleton crew, but I don't care where the idea comes from. If it's a good idea, it's a good idea. For example, the arch collapse, that wasn't in the script, and it's such a memorable moment. It was
like holding it up.
It was the couple. There was a couple, Tim and Cynthia Gainey, and we were just renting the equipment from them. They actually rent equipment to 5Ks and marathons. So we're renting the cones, the timer, the arch, the runway. And then I remember we did one take with Jimmy on the stand or whatever, or counting it down. And then Tim comes over to me and goes, "Keith, is this a comedy?" I'm like, "I hope so. Otherwise we're doing something wrong." And he goes, "Well, I can make that collapse. I can make it fall." I'm like, "Oh man, Tim, you're hired. Like, you're hired right away. Yeah, let's do it." So that was on the fly. We only had time for maybe 2 or 3 takes with because it is, I have Tim in the background kind of, manipulating the arch to make it fall. And we just had so much to shoot on that marathon day. We could only do it 3 times, I think. But we got it. Another example is our assistant camera, Alfredo Montenegro. We were scouting. We had just walked into Ryan O'Brien's Airbnb, and we're kind of putting equipment down and just getting a lay of the land, because you can see the photos for an Airbnb, right? But you don't usually get a chance to scout. And Alfredo goes, "Oh, that's funny. There's a doggy door." And then right away we're like, "Oh man, like camera guy gets locked out, has to come into the doggy door." That was our assistant camera. That wasn't us. That wasn't in the script. And then the banana kiss, where they're doing the Lady and the Tramp.
In the banana, where they actually have a banana. Oh,
yeah, it's this. Yeah, I don't even know if you heard the audio is what really makes it disgusting, because they are mic'd. I think we ended up putting that little spaghetti, like Italian restaurant score on it, but which drowns out the actual like chewing, which is disgusting.
I don't think I heard chewing. It was hilarious though.
Well, and that was our DP, one of our DPs. That was Heather Areritis, and she, one of our cinematographers. Our cinematographers are a couple, so it was Sean Gearing and Heather, and they're together. This was her first time shooting together on the same project, I think, too. But she was embarrassed that she came up with the idea. I don't know if she thought it was too creepy or weird, but she whispered it into Anthony's ear, like, "How funny would it be?" And we were like, "That's great. Why would you be embarrassed?" So we shot it. Like, it was what we usually tried to do is get what we had on paper. I mean, we always try to hit 3 jokes a page in any script, which builds a safety net or a security blanket, because I feel like it takes a little bit of pressure off the actors, like, all right, we have jokes on the page. We know what we want, or what we can try to get. But after we do 3 to 5 takes of that, if we think we have a decent, handle on what we wrote, then let's open it up and see what we can do. So between talking with the performer or the DP, I mean, it kind of, when you have a, 6 to 8 person crew, the ideas can come from anyone, and you just run with it if it's a good idea.
And I love the collaborative, like the more collaborative art is, honestly, the better it does. And Rotten Tomatoes is loving you guys right now. Like, I think I saw it was at 100% the last time I had checked.
Yeah.
And I talked to, speaking of the banana scene, when I was talking to Natalie, I think she said it was just the one banana, like they didn't do multiple takes for that, right?
Yeah, we may have only had two
One banana.
bananas left, and because we bought a ton of bananas, and then one of them was just disgusting. And I even think the one we had left, it was only like three quarters of a banana, because the top, and we had been shooting in, that was a hot day too. We're in Vegas,
Right.
and that what we had to buy pop-up tents for covering, and we were approaching maybe 100 degrees. That might have been the hottest day. But yeah, the bananas had been sitting there, and we had done this stupid scene where it's on the cutting room floor. We didn't use it, but we had hecklers who were watching Natalie train, and so it's three of our friends who do stand-up comedy in Las Vegas, but we had them in the stadiums, and then we thought it'd be funny if we're throwing banana. But so we actually burned through probably bananas that would have been helpful later on in the shoot. But no, yeah, it was just that one. I think that one. It was gross. It was gross and funny. They did it.
That's hilarious. I'm surprised there was no gag with like a banana peel, like somebody slipping on a banana peel. But did you just have the two banana costumes, or did you have to go through more than that because of how much you were shooting? And I imagine the amount of sweat inside a banana costume.
No, I felt bad for Natalie and Roberto, because I think we had to make slight alterations with the stuff. I remember the stuffing on day one would always fly out. And then we had Brittany Young, who also took those two costumes home. And the other problem is she added the black lines. She made it, I don't know, pop a little bit better on camera. So it just isn't a blob of yellow. And there were some more, contrasting lines. But no, it was just those two costumes. Roberto's was probably filthy at the end. And then, but no, we had those two. I mean, I had a backup in my car, but it wasn't prepped. We didn't want to use it. The other two, we also I think we tried to shoot in sequence with the bananas. So the dirt and we wanted it to get dirtier along as the production went along.
Right.
But that was tricky too. All of the, looking back, that was one part of the pre-production where we probably could have done a little bit better. I mean, not that it matters. It's a mockumentary. No one's paying attention to like, oh, what's this person wearing on that day? But that was a kind of a nightmare of remembering, all right, this is day one wardrobe for Ryan. This is day 4 wardrobe for Natalie. Let's keep these separate. And I mean, that was a pain.
So when Kimia is at home and, well, obviously doing her own marathon, for spoilers, but she's at home watching the marathon, and she had said that there was nothing actually on the TV. It was just like the black mirror when she was doing it. So I want to know, did you guys record the audio for what she was hearing? Did you use a specific clip from something afterwards, or how did that go?
Oh, for the dialogue for Benched, the fictional Netflix show?
Yeah.
We tried a bunch of things. And this was probably the pandemic gave us more time. The shutdown gave us more time to toy with different options. Benched was always in the script, so we knew the fictional show. We had Sean Gearing or one of our ACs shimmering or shining a specific reflector that made it look like images or light was coming off of the TV, but the TV was black. But we were just faking that reflectiveness, so it looked like she was watching something. I think we looked for as many free and just like stock footage, you can find stock audio clips, or we also used public domain. I think at one point we had a few, I think the Three Stooges have a courtroom movie that's in public domain, and there were 2 or 3 lines that we thought could pass, but it just like the voices are too recognizable, and it sounded old timey. And so there's an actor in Las Vegas. He's in the same improv group as Phil Kotler. Phil Kotler played the orthopedic surgeon.
Oh, okay.
So they're in it's probably the most talented improv group in Las Vegas. It's called Bleach. Bleach Improv. If you're ever in Vegas, check out Bleach Improv.
Well, I know
But
Jimmy said that he took improv classes from Natalie, and I don't think that they even, he had said he didn't even remember she was in the movie, but that she was his improv teacher. So I
that's
don't know if
funny.
that was like a different improv thing, or are they separate from the improv group you're talking about?
Sort of. Darren, who played the producer, is a Cirque du Soleil performer, and he's married to Shannon Calcutt, who's a clown, a Cirque clown as well. So you had two Cirque clowns who were married in Las Vegas, and they opened the Vegas Theater Hub, and they do improv courses as well. That's more. That's more intro, intermediate, and it's kind of like UCB, where you go through the different stages.
Okay.
And Natalie was an instructor. And Natalie also has a background in Chicago. I think she was with IO. She was with Second City. I mean, she was. She's been in a Second City tour. I mean, she's a very extremely accomplished, improviser. And I do think some of the improv actors in the film also took Natalie's classes or were involved with Vegas Theater Hub. I think Bleach is kind of they're a separate entity that also has ties to Vegas Theater Hub. But Tommy Todd, one of the performers in Bleach, we loved him. We always thought he was funny, but we just didn't know how to get him into the movie. And then he was like, Tommy, we found out he's a big sports fan too. I think he's a big Kansas City Chiefs and Royals fan. So I was like, oh, this might be perfect. So we wrote as many bad, cheesy, one-liners or puns, football courtroom related. We probably sent him 20, and then we asked him to, anything else he could think of. And so we got those back from him, and then added the Law and Order SUV, courtroom gasps or gavel hitting, and just so no, it's all fake, and it's by Tommy Todd, and it's one of the last things we added was getting that right. But no, it was fun. Yeah, I that poster came out so well. The benched.
Right. And I love that you had mentioned using that to get the reflections. Like, I didn't even think of that, especially because once she said that there was nothing on TV, I completely forgot that there were reflections there. So I think that's genius.
Again, wasn't my idea. It was the DPs, the cinematographer. The only problem is I think we started doing that after a couple takes. So there may be certain scenes where there's no reflection, and then a few other scenes where there are. But I mean, it's
it's a mockumentary, and
yeah,
you're not there for the suspension of disbelief. You're there because you want to have fun.
Right. Yeah. If people are looking for that, and then we're got them focused on the wrong thing.
Exactly. So what do you have anything else in development right now? Any other projects or anything that you wanted to mention or talk about at all?
No, I think we're waiting to see what happens with Marathon. It's been all consuming for, like I said, between driving for the 2 years to finish the edit, and then then going through the process of delivering a film to a distributor, which we had never done before. I mean, it's a great learning experience too, just because this is a part of filmmaking that we've never never had the fortune to be a part of. So we're learning every day, every step of the way. We're learning something new about this entire script to screen process, which is it's fascinating. But no, I think we're waiting. The problem is the studios aren't really making a lot of comedies right now. Like all of the famous comedy directors. I mean, maybe Taika aside, who did Jojo Rabbit, but
right.
I mean, when I first moved to LA, or one of the reasons I did move to LA, and I had an internship and I PA'd a little bit for Funny or Die, but it was Gary Sanchez's company with Adam McKay and Will Ferrell.
Right.
And I mean, so when I first made the trip out west, I mean, this was during the heyday of Judd Apatow movies, Ben Stiller movies, Will Ferrell, Adam McKay movies, forgetting the Todd Phillips. I mean, but all of these directors are now doing serious films. And I don't know if it's a choice, or is it because this the studios just everything has to be international now. Like after the DVD market collapsed, now all films have to and what's funny in America isn't funny in China, but the universal language is blow up a building and it makes sense in every language. So you see I think that's why you see a lot of F9 and big action movies. So I don't know. I mean, I'd love to do another I love the mockumentary style because it fits what we do well. I mean, obviously we have we have a lot of limitations as filmmakers, but what we do well is jokes, story, and character. I think for those three things, a mockumentary fits for me and Anthony.
Well, I think that's pretty much all that I have regarding Marathon. Is there anything that people don't ask you about the film that you would like to share so that, people who are going to check it out tomorrow would know?
I don't know. I mean, from a filmmaker's perspective, just how long it takes, to really go from script to screen. I mean, it's, a gargantuan task. And I don't mean to discourage anyone. I mean, just be prepared. It's funny, people are like, I'm going to write a screenplay. And then in your head, you're like, to actually see it through to the end. I mean, it's, like I said, to starting this in 2017 and now we're in 2021. I mean, and it's really, that we haven't had a chance to pick up anything else between trying to work full-time jobs and then do this on the weekends and nights and mornings before, it really is all consuming. But I mean, that's the biggest lesson or takeaway is be prepared for a long road.
Like Lion King, just it's like Scar told you time and again, be prepared. Do you have any social media, any websites that you want listeners to be directed to?
Oh, sure. Marathoncomedy.com. Marathoncomedy.com. That'll have trailer, press quotes, information about our fantastic cast, some fun stills. What else is on there? There's some fun merch too. Natalia Sullivan, our animator, while I was living with her, she also designed fantastically funny, like a Devil's Canyon marathon with like Satan's hand holding a stopwatch with the 666. We did a parody version of the Velvet Underground banana with the 4 faces. So we have a banana, like a retro Velvet Underground banana with our 5 character faces. So she helped out in so many ways. But yeah, check out Natalia's merch that she designed for us, also on the website.